Fall is approaching the season where we innately begin to take inventory over our lives. Traditionally, this time of year is where we harvest what crops we planted in spring to help us make it through the colder winter months. And recently, I've been trying to take inventory of what is going on in my own personal life, to bring my focus back to the essentials. Somewhere along the line, I've been beginning to feel a little stretched out, where my distractions have been dictating my day, and as much as I get completed on my to-do list, I'm just never feeling that sense of being caught up. So, it's time to get back to the basics. Hey y'all, my name is Sarah. I live in my 1991 self-built vintage van named Eva, where I travel slow and study the stars. Welcome to my home and channel. It's been a while since I've done a sit-down video. I figured now is a good time. I wanted to create this video as a reminder to myself and also to share some of the ways that I return to the feeling of balance. I thank you so much for being here, so let's talk. It's easy to tell someone to relax, slow down, but when you're in the washer machine of life, spiraling between one thing and the other, it's not as simple as it looks. When you're at that high speed trying to juggle everything and get things done, and someone tells you to pump the brakes, it just automatically makes you think of moving at a snail's pace, which isn't really helpful. And I think that the term slow living helps us wrap our minds around a lifestyle. One where there are still natural rhythms between rest and excitement, and where we're so engaged with it that, in a sense, time almost feels stretched. Getting back to our own individual rhythm versus the standard society has set is what I have determined to be the goal in this lifestyle. And I think what normally gets us off balance, no matter what frequency we're on, is when we get caught up trying to have everything under control. Contrary to this, I believe it's not a matter of having every detail under control, but rather being able to embrace what is out of our control, to flow with life versus micromanage it. Because I'm learning that the only constant that does happen is change. So part of slow living for me is actually making room for the spontaneity, for creativity, and for fun. It's so easy to forget, but there's a quote by Alan Watts that puts it best. Life is a dance, and when you're dancing, you're not intent on getting somewhere. The meaning and purpose of dancing is the dance, and we can be intentional on creating the studio for our dance, setting the stage of our lives. But in reality, how do I actually approach this? I think I've narrowed it down to a certain cycle, and it begins with decluttering, then dancing, and then decompressing. With a long background in housekeeping, naturally I will suggest to declutter our lives. Decluttering is not just physical, it's also mental and spiritual, and I'll touch a little bit about each one. After studying the homes of many wealthy and successful people, I've realized that one thing in common is that there is not excess clutter piling up. And with my life in the van, I wouldn't be able to operate if I had a bunch of extra items floating around. Everything has to have a place and a meaning, so getting rid of that extra pair of jeans or donating the random trinkets lying about really does help lighten the load, which is already heavy from all of our thoughts that we carry. From the time that we wake up till the time that we go to bed, our streams of consciousness are filled with thousands of ideas and thoughts running about. And so when it comes to decluttering the mind, I find it's just a matter of making what's unseen seen, whether that is just jotting down some to-do lists or journaling, calling a friend, even talking to a camera. Having some form of a sounding board for my ideas has been so beneficial and has tremendously helped reduce the amount of overwhelm in my life. So the third part of decluttering comes energetically. A lot of the times it comes by creating limits from people, places, things that drain your spirit. I know everything in life isn't meant to be easy, but we can differentiate when certain things frivolously take our time. When we are giving of ourselves too freely without any reciprocation or even appreciation, it just means that we might have to reorganize our schedule and a lot more time for our priorities. So after decluttering, after clearing the stage of our lives, now it is time to use it to live life, or as Mr. Watts would say, to dance. Do you remember when we were younger, when everything was new and fresh and all we wanted to do was just run around and play? I feel as if time then passed so slowly, and I'm not exactly certain of the reason behind this, but I do know that when we're engaging in something that brings joy, especially when we physically get up and move our bodies, that feeling tends to come back. Time almost warps and the seconds pass with greater length. And I want to make it a point to create the flexibility in my life that allows for the opportunities of play to come in. If, for instance, I last minute have to babysit my nephew, or when a friend calls to randomly go swimming, I want to be available for it. It might simply be going for a walk, doing an adventurous hike up a mountain, or going outside and playing with your pets or your kids. Movement brings an incredible amount of good energy in, and it also sparks my imagination and my creativity and my inspiration to be motivated to get things done. So on the other side of the spectrum, designating time to decompress and downshift is equally as important as movement. This can simply be embracing moments of stillness or stopping to appreciate the beauty within and throughout our days. I tend to find this sense of mindfulness when I am relaxing in nature or even just paying attention to the small details, like when I'm cooking a nourishing meal or engaging in some of my simple hobbies like drawing or photography. Sometimes it's just a matter of changing your mindset. All the chores that have to get done can be reframed and looked at as a time of stillness, a time of quiet. For instance, doing the dishes. I used to dread doing them. I really disliked having to stop what I was doing to ensure that everything was in order and clean. But now, if there are dishes that need to get done, I think of it as a designated time to meditate, because it's repetitive motions, an activity that you're always going to have to do in your life. So why not reframe your thinking, make it a positive one instead? Creating the time to actually enjoy the process versus always rushing through things is highly undervalued. Slow living is definitely a personal journey, and it's truly about finding your individual rhythm, your specific signature, and what you most resonate with. It's definitely not moving at a snail's pace, but rather choosing a more deliberate, intentional, and meaningful way of life. I've definitely not mastered the art of slow living, but it is a theme that I aspire to keep within my lifestyle. Thank you guys so much for being here, and I'll see you on the next one.